Welcome to another episode of the Taryn Reeves Show. Today, I am joined all the way from Colorado by Bonnie Schutz. Bonnie, welcome. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Now, Bonnie is one of my authors. She's written with me twice, which is always such a joy, as she is the CEO of Tandem Resource Solutions. As I said, she's based in Colorado, and after a 27-year career as an administrative professional, she dropped out of corporate to be happier, more fulfilled, and enjoy her second act, as she calls it. TRS helps entrepreneurs, small business owners, and corporate executives by providing virtual assistants and recruiting direct hire admins. Her other services include resume writing, LinkedIn profiles, EA and VEA mentorship, and consulting. Bonnie's superpower is in creating meaningful and effective relationships between executives and their assistants. She has a passion for supporting single mothers, stay-at-home mums, military wives, and women who have aged out of corporate roles. I absolutely love that about Bonnie. She is an Amazon best-selling co-author of Phoenix Rising. She lives with her husband and is an empty nester. But when she isn't busy matchmaking, doing advisory board work, or advocating for the admin profession, she travels to tropical islands or visits her daughters. What an amazing life, Bonnie. I'm so glad to have had you as part of my world and continuing to have you as part of my world. And
Same.
Tell me, congratulations on the amazing success of Corporate Dropouts. It hit 35 number ones bestsellers globally. Tell us a bit about the chapter. Give us a sneak peek for those who haven't read it yet.
Well, thank you. Yeah, boy, my chapter. So my chapter title is not just a secretary anymore. Throughout my entire corporate career, people in my profession were always just a secretary.
Yes.
And so, meaning it was very derogatory and very low level on the totem pole. You were a nothing. You were just a receptionist or something like that. And that was the status quo for a while, and I didn't let it affect me for so many years. My chapter talks about 27 years in corporate America, from a receptionist to an administrative assistant to an office manager to an executive assistant. Every type of administrative role that you can think of, I've been.
Yeah.
It kind of talks about in my chapter the funny little things or the little crazy things that happened to me along the way. It talks about some serious things like sexual harassment and just how the levels of the corporate bureaucracy, the hierarchy and everything, and how you just were meant to believe that you were low life as an admin. I didn't have a college degree. I had to find a job. I got married very young. I had to find a job, and I became a corporate secretary, for lack of a better term. And I had to do what I had to do because I became a single mother, and I was a single mother for 10 years. So my career in corporate did serve me well. And I talk about that too. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. And what I kind of wanted to convey was that, I wish in retrospect, I would have had the courage to leave sooner. 27 years is a long time.
It is.
Very long time to work for the man. I hate to say that, but most of my bosses were men.
Yes.
But it was a really long time to work for the man. And I'm one of those people that never makes rash, quick decisions. So I had to go through all these things, a lot of layoffs. And that was always the worst. My poor husband and having to deal with me and my layoffs and coming home crying and bawling my eyes out in the middle of the day. All these kind of things just kept rolling along for so many years, all these adverse things. And I just come home not feeling fulfilled and not feeling like I was getting anywhere. And then when I made it up to the level of assisting a CEO of a company, there was nowhere else for me to go. They inspired me because I saw what they were building, but I thought I had huge imposter syndrome. There's no way I would ever be a CEO or that I could ever be an entrepreneur, any of that.
Yeah.
But I finally got to my breaking point, and it does mention what that specifically was in the book, where I say my stars aligned because that happened for a reason. And I got the support of my then boss and my husband and they said, go for it. I said, I'm going to start my own business and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And today I've now been in business for 6 years, 2 years as a side hustle, and then 4 years now on my very own in this little office that has changed a little bit here and there from home. Before working from home was cool. I was doing it. So I really started my career my business as a recruiter for administrative professionals. And because that was what I thought I could do very well, having been in every role. But if you know anything about that industry, recruiting ebbs and flows. It pays well, but when you're not recruiting, where's the money come from? What will sustain you? So I wrapped my head around what I could do in between recruitments. I thought, well, all I know how to do is administrative work. So I thought, well, I've heard of this virtual assistant thing, but it's not real. But it's just somebody in a call center, in another country, yes, ma'am, but so I looked into it, and I maybe mentioned this to you before in a previous interview, but in America, we have this thing called Craigslist.
Yes.
And it's just that list of jobs. It's the free job listings. It's where people go to list their cars and whatever for sale. I answered a Craigslist ad, and I just said, what the heck, I'll give it a try. And I got the job. Amazing. Based on the fact that, and the way I sold myself was that most of the bosses that I supported traveled. And when they weren't in the office, what was I? I was their virtual assistant. I may have been in the office, but I really was. So I got my feet dipped really fast into what I was doing. And I let the world know that I started a company at that point. And I was a recruiter and a virtual assistant. Well, like crazy multitudes of people came out to me saying, I want to work for you. I want to do that. And I had to really take some time to wrap my head around that. You want to work for me? Again, that imposter syndrome thing. Creeping in. You want to really work for me. So today I have up to 30 VAs, a dozen to a little more than a dozen, always actively supporting clients for us. I still recruit for direct hire positions. Gosh, I've just been recently pulled into doing some recruiting consultancies where I consult on how you can add administrative people into your small business. So that's a new thing that's evolving. But the books just kind of came into that because the universe brought Taryn to me, and she found me on LinkedIn, and it was perfect timing. And I said, I've always wanted to write, and that's kind of what the business has evolved into, many different things.
So going into that writing thing as well, I remember our first conversation after I did find you on LinkedIn. We're like, hey, you want to come write with me? You were like, I'm not a writer. I don't even read books. Like, I don't know how to do that. How was that experience for you?
Well, that is absolutely true. I still do not love to read books. I have books that many people have given me. One of them is mine. And as soon as I get the paperback for Corporate Dropouts, it'll be up there. I'm a book skimmer. So I'll just flick through until I can find what I want to read, or I'll read the end. But my favorite subject in high school was English. So I love to write, and I always have stories in my head. And you just helped me believe that story, my story, is valuable, and it'll interest somebody to just write my story. So the experience with Phoenix Rising and Corporate Dropouts was fabulous for me. Like I said, I like to write. I don't love to read, which is so weird. I don't read for pleasure. I guess I don't read just because I need a hobby or something. I like reading what I've written. I like reading if it's somebody I know, like some of my co-authors. I really enjoyed because I got to know them personally. So highly recommend the multi-author book experience, because I have made lifelong friendships with people so far away and very near. So that was a big part of it, the friendships. And then, just kind of the attention, being a published author gets you as a business person. If I'm honest, it really edifies you and kind of lifts you up in your what's the word I want to say, being reputable in your business and what you do. So that was a nice result.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So many people have this imposter syndrome of I'm not worthy. Who am I to write something? But these stories, each and every time I am so moved by the stories of each individual, and they are so powerful. And it's in that process of the writing and then the publishing and the sharing that they realize just how magnificent and worthy they actually are. And it allows them to kind of expand into that next level of self-confidence and belief. And, as a result, business takes off and all of these sorts of things, your personal life, your inner feelings, all of these things. It's such a magical process. I just
Absolutely.
love it. I get so excited.
Thanks for bringing me into this world. You birthed me as a writer.
You are a writer. You are a two-time international best-selling author.
Crazy.
Yes. Now, let's go back to corporate a little bit. Tell me what it was like working as an executive assistant.
Okay. Yeah. The first word that popped into my head when you said that, which it doesn't really seem like it fits, but it really does. And I'll tell you why. That word is mother. You literally become your executive or multiple executives' mother.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bad term, but it truly is if you think about what a mother is. And sometimes when I'm working and mentoring the VAs on my team, I have to explain this to them.
Yeah.
Pretend like your executive is your child.
Yeah.
You need to help them across the street. You need to make sure they have what they need. They're prepared. So it's like, these are so much the same, which kind of helped me name my company Tandem, working in tandem. So an EA or an executive assistant works in tandem with the executive to free up their time, make them able to work in their whatever magic they do and not be stuck in the minutia of the business. So you also become the gatekeeper. You have to take ownership of, like, they are a possession. You take ownership of that person and you protect them. There's the mother thing again. You protect them from too many people, either physically or virtually knocking at their door. Is it important? You become, if you're a really good EA, you become a mind reader, which is another thing too, which is the most difficult part of the role, I would say, is the most frustrating and the most difficult, because if you get it wrong, they'll let you know. And then if you're like me, you take it super personally. But a lot of times in my executive assistant roles, I was always in mid-sized companies. So I was never in these giant Apples and, giant companies. I was in mid-sized firms. So I would also oftentimes be the office manager. So I became everyone's mother. Get the place clean. And a true EA, there's nothing beneath you. And I had no problem with that. I took pride in my work, and I took pride in the how the office looked and everything. And it's a very prideful role too, because you don't get often noticed unless you have a really great boss relationship with your boss. And maybe I got noticed for organizing a holiday party. Something like that. Oh, you did a great job with the decorations. I did something like that. I'm like, oh, I didn't just help you make how much money for the company, because I got you over to this country and that country with all these visas, and okay, I had pretty decorations. Okay, thanks.
Oh dear.
That's the life of an EA. It's not always rewarding, but you have to sort of have the personality where you don't need that constant, oh, you're so perfect. Thank you. And although it feels good and it does make you work harder, if you're pleasing and they know that you're pleasing them, or that they're being satisfied with whatever they need to make themselves look better. But I always used to say that too. We're there to make them look better, inwardly and outwardly, because you also have to be the eyes and the ears of the office. And that put me in some predicaments at times that I wasn't happy to be in, but I had to keep my job. So it didn't make me, I had to be the whistleblower on a few things, and it didn't always make me super popular. But that's where it tore me up inside, I think, a little, because I'm a people person and I like to be liked.
Yes. I think we
And
all
so,
like to be liked. Yeah.
yes, when I wasn't, it was super difficult.
Yeah, yeah. I think, EAs, VAs, all of these people behind the scenes, they play such an important role. Nothing would actually run without them. I know with my team and everything, I could not do half of the stuff that I do without my team. So a massive shout out to any of you who are in these types of roles. I recognize you, Bonnie recognizes you, you are important, you are worthy, and we couldn't do what we do without you. So thank you so, so much. You're amazing.
Yes.
So Bonnie, can you distinguish maybe one biggest learning, one big takeaway from your time in corporate that you've taken with you forward into your life or business today?
Right. I mean, I think it took a long time to come to this, but it helped me develop a good sense of emotional intelligence. And I think you and I have talked about this a little bit before. I really learned how to gauge the room and gauge my audience.
Yeah.
I didn't speak much in corporate. I was always quiet behind the scenes. But when I did, I had to really gauge my audience, and whether it was me doing it or just merely observing the successful executives that I assisted.
Yeah.
I have totally brought that experience into being a business owner and now speaking directly to those people or selling, marketing to those people. Now, that's a big takeaway from corporate for me, is being able to gauge who I'm talking to and what their needs are and how my company or me can fix them or help them with those needs.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. I think that's a really valuable skill, emotional intelligence, and as women, we're like, oh no, you're too emotional, but it's something that we are really, really good at. And if we give it the chance to flourish and nurture, it can actually serve us really, really well moving forward. Now, tell me, we've spoken about your amazing business and the two various aspects of it. Who do you really love to work with?
Okay, so that is kind of two answers to that question.
Sure.
One is the types of clients that I love working with.
Mhm.
And two are the types of VAs that I love to bring onto my team.
Yeah.
And you touched on it in my intro. If we start with the VAs, I very much love to help women that have either been in the same situation that I've been at one time in my life, or where I'm at now. And that is single mothers, stay-at-home mothers, and most especially right now, other than military wives, especially right now.
Yes.
And then, like you said before, my biggest passion right now is to help women who've been aged out of corporate roles. And I found that passion in that phrase, second act, through a group of women that I'm a big part of here in the Denver, Colorado area.
Yep.
Called Second Act Women. And so these empowering, wonderful people are women like me over 40, which I'm way over 40. I'm way over 40. Not way, but at least a decade.
Look at my love. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. Over a decade over 40. And we try to say that we are happy and proud to say our number or our level. We call it our level.
What? Let's talk about that, because it's something that I'm super passionate about. So I'm only 34. I had to think about that for a second. I always ask my husband, I'm like,
how old am I?
I have no idea. Because honestly, I don't think age or experience has anything to do with it. So I'm only 34. Okay.
Right.
But
so I have the same thing.
Yeah.
On the other end, I'm only 53.
Exactly. Only 53, only 34. But even though I'm considered young, right? Especially for the level that my business is at and all of these sorts of things. I've experienced so many life things that most people will never, I feel like I've lived three lifetimes in one so far in 34 years. I'm like, holy crap, what's the next, 30, 40, 50 years going to bring? Because I don't plan on kicking the bucket until well after 100. And it's this thing, the stigma about women, I don't dye my hair. I'm starting to go gray. I'm very young to go gray. Luckily, mine's curly, so it looks a bit like
you kind of hide it.
But everyone's like, why don't you dye your hair? And I'm like, why should I? I earned these grays. I'm like, I don't want to sit in the hairdressing chair for 3 hours to put chemicals on my head so that you can find me palatable. Do you know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
right.
no, you know, and I'm starting to get varicose veins on my legs from, you know,
Just wait.
yeah, it's like all of these things. And it's like, hang on, why are we not proud to say our ages? You know, I've got a lot of older friends. I work with a lot of women who are older than me, and there is nothing wrong with that, because the wisdom and the compassion and the sisterhood that comes out of that, the self-assurance, it's so beautiful. And I really wish these women could see them the way that I see them. You know, like, oh, I'm so old, or this is happening. And I'm like, I think you're amazing.
I'm so guilty of that. I've been accused of a lot of self-deprecation.
But it's bred into us, right? We're told that that's the way we should act, because a woman should be seen and not heard. She should be demure and humble and be yourself, but not too much you. Don't be too loud. Don't be proud of your achievements. Don't stand out from the crowd. Well, I say bullshit to that. You shout how amazing you are from the rooftops. And just as a completely side tangent, as you know, I like to go on the chat. The next multi-author book that's coming out is called She Speaks. And it is about this, you know, it's about women speaking up and going, I am proud of what I've done, or I'm not okay with this in society or my life or whatever it is, or this happened to me, learn from my mistakes, you know, maybe taboo topics and things like this. Speak up, ladies, because it is time. It is time that we started speaking up and saying, this is what we want to see. This is what we demand. This is what we want to create, you know, because we've let it go on for far too long that we've sat in the back rows and said someone else is going to take responsibility for this.
Right.
Someone else is going to clean up this mess. Someone else is going to speak up this topic, because I'm not worthy. I'm not important enough. My voice isn't important, or I'm too afraid to speak up. Totally natural behaviors, but we need to find that courage and speak up, because if not you, then who? Honestly, who? It's like, I'm going to be really gross now, but it's like when you go to those public toilets and someone's, you know, weed on the seat. It's like, hang on, did this person like just go, oh, it's okay, Taryn's coming behind them, she's going to clean it up for me? You know, it's like, no, take damn responsibility. Like, you know, speak up.
Right. No, I love that you're nearly 20 years my junior. You really are. And that's amazing, because we still relate so well. Like, what is the difference? What is, I don't feel like I'm old, but I remember being 34 and thinking 54 was really old. But it's now that you're getting to know people my age, I don't seem that much older.
Not at all. Like, you know, I was only saying this the other day. I was, you know, like when you're younger, when you're 10 or something, you see someone who's 16. It's like, oh my God, they're so grown up. They're so mature. And then you get to like that age and you're like, oh, okay, I still feel exactly the same. You know, I'm still me.
I still feel me.
Exactly. You're still you. The very essence of you has nothing to do with age. Nothing.
I can tie that into my writing experience with you, you know, knowing that I still had the memory to write about something that happened in my early 20s. And it just like flooded it, because I think it got me into a mindset or a headset or headspace that I could recollect it all. And like, wow, where'd that come from? Let me write it down. Let me get it on there. I mean, some of it wasn't the most pleasant to remember, but it is my story, and it was nice to get it across. But what we were talking about earlier, so those are the VAs that I like to help. And I really like to match those VAs to clients that are in a similar situation. Although I do not, you know, not work for men, because I have some fabulous male clients. But, you know, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, startups and early stage businesses in the growth stage. We have a very differing dynamic in between the clientele that we carry. We're very much a generalist VA firm. And so I wanted it to be, the analogy I always used in here in America is we have the big chain stores like Target and I don't know, McDonald's, whatever. So I said, we're going to be the So the lower end in our world over here, I don't know if it is there, is Walmart. So I'd say
Yes.
Walmart, Target, and Macy's were the three I use. So I say Tandem is the Target in between Walmart and Macy's.
Okay.
And we are affordable for most. I
Mhm.
don't want like completely bootstrap startup that don't understand how to delegate.
Yes.
So my ideal client, another segue, is someone that knows their shit.
Yes.
They've started their business. They have come to the realization that they need help. They can't do it all, which
Yep.
took me a while, I must confess, to realize that couldn't do it all.
Yeah.
But I want them to already be at that level and realize the value of an assistant. So that's something I'm trying to convey in my social media and any blog I write or something like that, is, realize when it's time to get help. And
Yes.
then, with my business, it differentiates, and you'll understand this with the VA agency, is that we have a pre-vetted team, and we
Yep.
guarantee that whomever you're matched with will work. If not, we've got these 30 other people that
Yeah,
can help
that
you.
you can replace
And
them with.
and you're not going out to the now megaverse of VAs that are out there that are
Yes.
solopreneurs. So that's where we kind of differ, I feel. And
Yeah.
one of my little lines is that your VA always has a mouse in their pocket. So they've got my 30 years of, or 30 something years of experience,
Yeah.
plus the whole collaborative of our team, which is
Yeah.
all those fantastic people, those military wives and those
Yes.
aged out older women that aren't ready to retire, but still are so valuable. So
Yeah.
it's win-win on both sides to me.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lots
I
of
love
soft
it.
value.
I love it. Absolutely. Now, what's next for you, Bonnie? What are you up to?
Well, let's see. So because of the way the world has been to the last couple of years, it has canceled 2 of my vacations.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, I need to get out. I don't have an ocean by me. I don't have palm trees. I need palm trees. So,
Okay.
and I need the ocean.
Yeah.
So we have now planned our third cruise that we got. The last 2 were canceled.
Yeah.
So we are going on the cruise to the Southern Caribbean, and have decided that we're in a place in our age, which I hate to say that, but our age, we're empty nesters. We don't have any pets right now, no grandchildren yet. It's time to travel. So we're going to take the entire month of May, and we're going to actually start exploring some places to retire.
Yep.
That's still a decade away, but we're going to start looking.
Yep.
And then we're going to go right on our cruise. And then after the cruise, I'm going to go with my husband on a work trip, because I
Yep.
have a remote job and I can do
Yeah.
that. So I'm going to be gone almost the entire month of May. I'm super excited about that. I've never taken a whole month away. I can work when I'm on his work trip.
Of
But
course.
we're going to see if what I've been working so hard to do in my delegation efforts,
Mhm.
if my team can run my business for a month without me.
Yes.
Then I'll know I've made it.
Pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly
hope so.
surprised. How exciting. That sounds fantastic. I'm super jealous. I'm quite flexible. Perhaps I can fit in
Come
your
on.
suitcase.
I need a place to stay in Australia, so I'll be down.
You are always welcome at my
Thank
house,
you.
my love. Now that you've got a bit of a bug for writing, you've written with me twice in a multi-author book, both times, Phoenix Rising and Corporate Dropouts. What's next in the writing? Are you going to do a solo book? Are you just going to park it for a while? Are you going to come on a next multi-author? Tell me more.
At the moment, I'm going to pack it for just a little while.
Mhm.
I'm going to make sure that my team can run the business without me.
Yes.
The biggest challenge was still running the business while trying to write a book and do the things I needed to do to market that book. The experience that I can share with everyone is that the whole nurturing and taking us through the step-by-step was a great way to get my feet wet. So now that it gave me the bug, definitely. And as I was writing Phoenix Rising, which was more about my life than my business, with every paragraph I wrote, all my brain could think of was I could write an entire chapter about that paragraph.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it, how much you realize on the journey of writing, how much of a story you actually do have to have, because I think it becomes this big overwhelming thing. Oh my gosh, a book, like that's That's huge. That's overwhelming.
Yes.
And then when you actually start and you get into it, you're like, hang on, I've got so much more to say about this topic and that topic.
And I was like 3,500 words. How do I keep it to that?
Exactly. It becomes this difficult practice, this difficult task of narrowing what's important to say in a single chapter. Then
what I want to get across. Yeah, in the entire book. Like, yeah. So I need to start thinking about who my audience would be for my book, and learn from you or people like you how to, aim my story and my life happenings and to that audience. And so that's something I might have to think about for a little while.
Yes.
But I feel like it's coming someday. I feel
it's
like
coming
I don't have a timeline yet, but it's coming.
Amazing. I very much look forward to that and supporting you, obviously, when it comes out and getting the word out to everybody. Now, tell me, for the people who are listening, whether they are wanting to find you for a business, whether they're looking for a VA, whether they're wanting mentorship as a VA, or just because they think you're an amazing person, because you are, where can they come find you?
It's tandemresourcesolutions.com.
Okay.
You can reach me there directly or through our social media channels, which are all listed on the bottom of the website. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is big for me. So I just love connecting to colleagues, prospective clients, to other VAs, people like that through my LinkedIn. Yep. So that's Bonnie Schutz, SCHUTZ. I think that I don't have it in front of me. I think it's Bonnie Schutz EA as at the end of but LinkedIn is always a good way. And my email, I don't even mind sharing my email. It's Bonnie@tandemresourcesolutions.com. And I am a type A anal retentive EA, and I can't stand bold in my inbox. So I will either delegate it or I will answer you back.
Amazing. Amazing. I will put all of that info in the show notes, so it's super easy for people to come and find you. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Before we go, if you have not read Corporate Dropouts yet, it is available on Amazon. So go on, head on over there, get your copy of Corporate Dropouts. They are some amazing inspirational stories in there. It's not a book about corporate bashing or saying how terrible corporate is, because some people are meant to thrive in corporate. Perhaps they're just needing a bit of a change of scenery. It's about all of that, you guys. It's not just about, we hate corporate and whatever. That's not true. That is not true. So go and get your copy of Corporate Dropouts. If you know of someone who could benefit from reading that book, share it with them. It's super affordable. And of course, if you are wanting to write a solo book or a lead generating book, or become an author in one of our multi-author books, then please reach out to us here at Four Eagles Publishing. You can find us at foureaglespublishing.com. And come and hang out with us, come and play, share your story, because it is absolutely worthy and a transformational experience to have your book out in the world and working for you. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like we could go on for hours and hours, but until next time, my friend, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.